Assalamu alaikum. Pray and hope that all of you are fine and good, and especially you are keeping yourself in good humor, because in isolation one can start feeling depressed or anything. Don't let yourself fall into this trap. And I'm sure your courses will be keeping you busy with all their assignments and work, and now that midterm is over, you must be a little relieved. Let me share one more thing with you, that these video lectures have to be of 15 minutes only. Maybe it is an IT requirement by the university or something. So if we have to talk to you more than 15 minutes on a particular subject, we break it into two parts. So this one is the second part of the economic history about economic structure and economic governance. We had talked about till the General Zia's regime and how the economic was faring in his times, and he was in a way fortunate economically that he got a lot of foreign funding and he could carry on his economic plans. Then comes the democratic interlude between 1989 to 1999. We always have democracy in interludes. The decade of the 1990s was marked by democratically elected regimes attempting to practice authoritarian forms of power within an ostensibly democratic order. I am sure you understand that these are the Benazir and Nawaz Sharif periods, one after the other coming. This was combined with the use of public office for private wealth. These features of governance during the 1990s intensified to a critical level by the late 1990s. The three key elements of the crisis that threatened the state. Number one, a collapsing economy. Number two, the threat to the life and property of citizens resulting from rampant crime and emergence of armed militant groups of religious extremists. This was the most disturbing threat, and a very strong threat too. The erosion of many of the institutions was the third for effective governance. During the decade of the 1990s, political instability, historically unprecedented corruption in governance, and the worsening law and order situation had a significant adverse effect on private investment and GDP growth. A very important factor in the sharp slowdown in GDP growth and increase in poverty was the particular way in which the government addressed the fiscal crisis, which reached a critical level during this period. The government, having adopted a structural adjustment program under the auspices of IMF, undertook the necessary reduction in public expenditure through a sharp reduction in development expenditure. And development expenditure as a percentage of GDP fell from 7.4% in the 1970s to 3.5% in the 1990s. By contrast, the government's unproductive expenditure remained at the same high level. Yet these factors merely accentuated the tendency for declining growth and was rooted in structural factors. The severe restriction is urgently needed. Public investment in infrastructure and poverty reduction projects simultaneously slowed down GDP growth and accentuated poverty. Do excuse me, I have a cough drop in my mouth because of my very bad cough. So let's see what is the postscript, the Musharraf regime and the echoes of history. The economy went into a multifaceted crisis. Society and state had reached a critical point by end of 1990s. This set the stage for the collapse of the formal democratic structure within which the contention of the power between the military and elected political leadership had been conducted during the 1990s. President Musharraf's government formulated a comprehensive set of reforms aimed at reviving the economy and establishing the institutional basis for improved governance. At the same time, through a number of constitutional amendments, the political system was restructured. Thus, the new political dispensation signifies the institutionalizing of military power within a political structure in which an enclosed elected government also has a role to play. During the regime of General Musharraf, economic policies combined with the changed international environment following 9/11 have enabled a substantial improvement in macroeconomic indicators. The GDP growth rate has accelerated to over a 6% in the last 3 years. The debt servicing burden has become tolerable. The budget deficit has been brought down substantially and state bank reserves have been reached record levels. However, in spite of the recent sharp acceleration in GDP growth, there is continued widespread poverty and severe shortage of basic services. At the same time, the question remains of whether this high GDP growth can be sustained. In the perspective of its economic history, 3 economic challenges confront the country. They continue to confront. The first one is to restructure the economic growth process so as to enhance its capacity for poverty reduction. And the second one is to broaden the basis of GDP growth and make it sustainable. And equally important is the third one, to establish the writ of the state, a viable democratic structure and a culture of tolerance. This absence of tolerance has damaged Pakistan in many ways, but it has damaged the economics very harshly. These are necessary conditions for achieving a substantial and sustained increase in private sector investment, both domestic and foreign. They are equally necessary for building a future for the people of Pakistan that is better than the past. Thank you so much.